don't think the audio is working.
Inches deep, so they project off the wall 3 inches, and that's pretty much about it. The color that they're painted is of their brand standard, which is going to match the awnings as well. So we're here this evening seeking approval from you and your team here to remove and reinstall these new letters. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Is that sign actually smaller than the existing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's just because of the length, the overall length of the old one.
A little shorter. Okay.
Yep.
Any questions? Hearing none?
I'll
All
make
in
a motion
favor?
to approve this
Make a
change.
motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the change.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. We'll get an
Fantastic.
email off to the building inspector. We'll copy you on it, Mr. Barlow.
Awesome.
And you could go to the building inspector tomorrow, essentially, and get a permit if you want.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time this evening, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a triple play. Barry Roberts, Kim Davidson, and Tom Reedy, I believe, are all here on the same matter.
Mr. Reedy?
Sure, yeah, I'll take it. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. So I'm here with Barry Roberts, who you know, and Kim Davidson. Kim runs an aerobic and fitness studio. She's looking to be located in 220 Russell Street, Suite 300. I sent an email to the board. There's not going to be any exterior changes. And so we think this falls into the exemption for site plan approval. I know earlier today that the fire department and the building commissioner walked through the space and approved the space. And so a little twofold here tonight. First is just to make sure that nothing else is needed. And then second, I know Kim's here to talk to you about the sign that she would like to put into the sign holder at 220 Russell Street out in front. So I guess the first piece is anything else needed for the use in the space? We consider it personal service, which is a use allowed by right in that zoning district.
What's in here today, Tom?
It's vacant right now.
Oh, it's a vacant. Okay.
It was Sink City. It's that building. It depends which driveway you take. If you take the driveway closest to Auto Express, then it's that white house, that white building on the left side. If you travel back towards Wagging Tails.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as code, I think it's up to code. And then I think it's only the signage needs the approval.
Okay.
Do you have classes by appointment? Do you see clients per appointment?
Kim, do
Yep.
you have appointments, or are there is it scheduled classes and folks come to the class?
This is Kim. Thank you guys for listening here. We do have scheduled classes, but we also run personal training sessions, which would be scheduled.
Well, my advice is, given that it's off of Route 9, tell your clients to leave 30 minutes before they think they have to get there, because it's a mess out there.
Anyway.
Barry, maybe you could open a path from your senior
Otis Street
housing.
Commons.
Anyways, I don't, do we even need to waive anything, Mr. Dwyer? I don't think so.
Since we're going to approve the sign anyway, I'll throw it in
Okay.
as a waiver of further site plan approval. But Kim, do you have the signage available? I've forwarded it to everyone.
I do. One moment, I can pull it up. If once I get it up, if you'd let me share my screen, that would be great.
Yeah, it's all set to share.
Okay. So this is the existing holders that is going to go into. Can you see that? Let me
Yeah.
share.
Not yet.
Okay, one moment.
I think it
Share
was,
screen.
what was it, 6 foot by 3 foot or something?
There we
Okay.
go. Yep. got
This
it.
is the existing holder for the sign. Can you see that?
Yes,
Yep.
Okay, and then the one that I would like to put in there is this one, 6 feet by 3 feet, which fits in the existing signage, but also allows space for any other tenants that might come in.
We're still seeing the base sign with the address. I don't know if you were trying to show us the other.
Just had it up one moment. Can you see that?
no,
Yeah,
Share went off. Let me get that back on. Sorry.
here
there
we
we
go.
go. There we go. Yep.
What are the dimensions of that sign?
6 feet wide by 3 feet tall.
Okay. There going to be any signs on your building?
Not planned.
Okay. So this will just be the one sign in the holder out front.
Yes, there is no space in the one by the street.
You said that was 3 by 6?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'll make a
Any other
motion.
questions? Mr. Dwyer,
I'll make a motion to waive further site plan approval for change of use and to approve the sign as shown.
Second, I second.
Yeah, there's no illumination in that photo, right?
that is correct.
No, I don't.
not even, you're not, so not illumination at all.
There is no illumination on the sign.
Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Very good.
Thanks very much. Good seeing
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
And
Next,
they-
Mr. Dwyer?
Let's see, we had, doesn't seem to be here anymore. Zija, KM Zija?
Oh, she was here for that, listening to, because she goes to those aerobic classes.
Oh, okay,
She was part of that.
okay.
She's wanted to see
Then,
what's going on.
I'm guessing it's another double bill with Denise Barstow Mans and Diana West.
Hello.
Thank you. We are here
Yeah.
representing the Historical Commission in town. And we would like to erect 4 signs with historical information. They would be put in Hockanum, the center of town, on the Common, and then up in North Hadley. Originally, we had this idea that we would create a trail of signs throughout the whole town, but we determined that that was unsafe due to constant stopping of vehicles and limited places to park. So we scaled it back to these 4 signs. We had a study done by the Berkshire Design Group out of Northampton, and they made the recommendation that we should place the signs on public property at the Hockanum Schoolhouse, the Goodwin Memorial Building, by the bike path on the Common, and then on that patch of land where Mount Warner Road and River Drive meet up in North Hadley. It was determined that these locations are good because there's spots where you can safely pull off the road and park your vehicle and then walk up to the sign to read them. Another study done by Fossil Industries out of Deer Park, New York, suggested that we make the signs 2 feet by 3 feet, vertical signs on 8-foot posts, 6 feet of which are above the ground. This is for better visibility, better weathering, and they would be double-sided to allow for us to have one side in English and then one side in Spanish. As we don't have a whole lot of great walkable areas in Hadley, we want people to be able to see these signs for when they're driving by, entice them to stop, safely pull over, and then walk up to the signs to read them, hence their size and height. Any questions so far?
See, how much detail did, do you have any prototypes of these? I think I did forward whatever you had sent around, but I don't remember exactly what was in it. Do you have samples of the signs?
Yes, would you like me to share my
Yeah,
screen of
Please do.
the design? Okay, 1 second.
And do we have formal addresses for each location? Or
I think the Hockenham Schoolhouse would probably be either 145 Hockenham Road or 147. Denise, do you know?
It's next to 143 and across from me, and I'm 146.
So probably 145.
Sure.
And the Goodwin Memorial Building, I'm not entirely sure what their address is on Middle Street.
This is all public land you're putting these on, correct?
Yes, correct. We explored the option briefly of putting it on private land, but then our concern there is if we would get current property owners to agree, but unfortunately, like we couldn't necessarily guarantee that future property owners would keep the signs on their private property.
So again, you have the Hockenham Schoolhouse, the Goodwin Building, the Common.
Yes. And
And-
then up in North Hadley where Mount Warner Road and River Drive meet, there's that sort of triangle of land near the boat launch.
Where would it be in North Hadley again?
Mark Dunn's question, Mark, was yours also questioning how far away from the road they're gonna be and how far back the setback will be?
Well,
Or-
I was just thinking that we, if we're gonna make a formal motion, that we should probably have it. I mean, I'm not the lawyer here, but I just thought we should probably have some precision in the addresses at least.
Back to the location. You've got Hockenham, the Goodwin, where in North Hadley?
So
North-
River
Where-
Drive sort of comes into like what we would consider like the center of North Hadley, and then Mount Warner comes over the bridge and meets River
That
Drive
little triangle
there
piece of grass?
Yes,
by the boat launch.
By the boat launch or in the triangle between the intersection?
The triangle between the intersection.
Now specifically, this is what Mark and I are getting at. We really should have a more accurate description of where the sign will be located and probably who's going to maintain it.
Mhm.
So is it going to be 2 feet from the road, 5 feet from the road? What's the setback going to be?
So we're talking Hockenham, Goodwin, North Hadley. Where was the fourth one?
On the common by the bike path.
Common, okay.
Probably don't want it too close. You don't want the plow, the snow from the plow taking your nice new signs out.
So I can share my screen and show you what the Berkshire Design Group suggested. A mock-up of possible locations.
while you're doing that, I just want to add that we did adopt a new bylaw that finally authorized the select board to approve signs on public property. So we can give you our views on the appropriateness of the locations, but we can't approve it. You'll have to go to the select board to actually get permission to put anything on town property.
Correct. We just wanted to come to you first to, like you said, better get an idea of if these locations are appropriate. I also believe the height is outside the town sign bylaws as well. So we just wanted to get your suggestion on that if you think it'd be possible for us to get a waiver before we completely went into a redesign mode, as we have the, we do have mock-ups of 4 designs for the signs at this time. So what I'm showing you right now are what the Berkshire Design Group suggested for where to put the signs. Again, totally suggestions. I mean, I think the triangle up in North Hadley is probably going to be the hardest site because it's the smallest real estate we would be working with. And if somebody has another suggestion for where to put it in North Hadley, this just seems like the most visible location and a place where there is an area to pull off here. When you actually look it up on Google Maps, it shows a truck parked on this grassy area. I think in the other 3 locations, there's a lot more space that we can work with to make sure that they are appropriately far enough away from the road.
So what are the dimensions?
So they are 2 feet by 3 feet, but they will be, as it is designed currently, they would be 6 feet off the ground.
How many feet?
6 feet off
And
the
that
ground.
would be 6 feet to the top, probably. if that's-
Correct. Yes. So they're 8-foot poles, but 2 feet would be underground, so 6 feet above ground.
Is
Just
it 2 by 3 or 3 by 3?
2 by 3,
2 by 3.
Okay.
and I think it's vertical, so it's 2 foot wide, 3 foot tall.
No,
So-
so that's not a
Okay.
very good representation in that. I can, it's 2 feet tall and 3 feet wide.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they go from 4 feet to 6 feet. Are all of the locations not adjacent to private property? In other words, you're not trying to get it in the right of way in front of private property. It's all, I'm just showing my lack of knowledge of all those different sites.
As far as I know, they all have areas that you can pull off within the public property.
That's right.
So for example, for Goodwin, you would of course park at the library and then walk over the common. There's spots there by the bike path that you can park in. As we've already mentioned, you can park in that little triangle up in North Hadley, and then Hockanum, there is flat area to pull off the road by the schoolhouse too. Then walk
Yeah,
to the
just-
design.
A good place in North Hadley, but I'm afraid it probably wouldn't be as visible from Route 47, would be right onto the bridge abutment. Going
On
over the
Mount Warner.
the dam. But
Okay.
but that sign would not be very visible from Route 47. That's the only problem with that one.
Mhm.
Isn't there a sign by the dam on, just before the old store, before Han's store? Isn't there a rock there with something on it?
Yes, yes, there is, Mike.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring something up about maintenance, that you can't see it because the trees and brush have grown over it.
Actually, it's been kept fairly clear. DPW is paying attention to it now.
Oh,
It
Did you-
only needs to be, they just need to hack back some of the
3 limbs, right?
limbs every so often. Yes, that is a rock commemorating the site of a mill in North Hadley. And that mill was owned by the trustees of Hopkins Academy. And the rock is on a 4 by 4 square foot deeded piece of property owned by the trustees. But you're right, it's sort of in the sense, it's a marker, but you can't get there. You have to really park on the triangle and walk all the way back to even read what's on it. So having the visibility at the parking area is an improvement, I think.
Okay.
I think the one I'm least familiar with is the Hockanum School, and that is municipal property. The
I'm
building?
pretty confident. Denise, does the neighborhood association look after the building, but it is on public property?
Yes. They have like a lease to maintain the property, but it's town property.
No, on the North Hadley sign, are you gonna mention that Joe Zagranic went to grammar school in the old school building there?
Is he
Give me-
willing to
give me a few
sponsor
more
that
hundred
sign?
years.
Dr. Zagrodnik can get his name on the sign if he maybe wanted to sponsor it.
I am
tell-
going to
Don't tell
just
me you have braces on your teeth.
Not me. I was like the one kid in Hadley who did not have Dr. Z put braces on my teeth. But Denise is a proud alumni.
It's funny.
So it doesn't sound like we have any
wait.
issues.
Oh, wait.
Just-
I would say the four of the five members on the planning board, their parents attended the North Hadley School, probably.
Father did, yeah.
Yeah, my father did.
Yeah, my mother did. She also went to the one on, the little, well, it was no longer a school, but the one up the road, just near the intersection of Stockbridge Road, the old little schoolhouse there, I think. What's his name and his wife live there now?
Andrew Morris Friedman.
Yes,
I
As you're,
missed that one by a year.
as you're traveling into North Hadley on 47 from Sunderland, isn't there an old sign on the right that's all rusted? Or, no? Okay,
I
Not
think
that I
there-
can picture. I know that a couple years ago, the state approached us about renovating or fixing up the tercentenary signs
right.
that are in town. And so that was a state project. And one of them was moved to the common. But I'm not sure about anything else.
I
What are
believe
these,
Way up there. in
what
the
are these
town
signs
hall.
gonna be made of, by the way?
Oh, I believe they are powder coated aluminum.
Oh,
1 second, I can tell you. Yes, black powder coated aluminum.
so they're durable.
they're very
Yes.
durable. They'll last 50 years.
Yes, and when the select board, when we had brought this to select board for another reason, a while ago, they suggested we get additional quotes from what we had, and I did have a sign maker out of Cummington say to me that the original quote we had was a very specific, special product that would last us decades and would weather extremely well.
Rather than us suggesting a distance off of the road that is beyond our expertise,
Mhm.
I would recommend talking to the DPW superintendent and see
Okay.
what he would recommend to get them off of the road so that they're still reasonably visible, but also not going to be hit by the snow plows and stuff like that when they do their grass cutting or whatever else it might be. Okay,
It's a great idea, thank you.
One interesting comment or a lack of a sign that is at the southeast corner of the town common. And there is a granite post that's tipping or leaning. And that evidently was the ferry tie-up when the town was originally settled from Northampton to Hadley. And that's where Aquavita Road turns into that area. That would be something that probably should get some attention.
Okay,
just while we're on, it's probably an appropriate time to mention, I was going to mention it further at a planning board meeting. However, we received a letter dated November 10th, 2022 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I believe this refers to the Porterfeld Huntington House because it says we are pleased to inform you that the 40 acres and its skirts historic district in Hadley will be considered by the Massachusetts Historical Commission for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places. I'm not sure that the Historical Commission knew that, but that is going to happen. I
thank
don't
you.
know.
Susan Lisk did reach out to us for a letter of support, so we are working on that. I believe the public hearing is December 14th, where people can present in support of it getting added to the National Register, and then they will make the official decision.
Okay.
I'm almost afraid to bring this up, but I went to a presentation at Amherst College about 3 years ago about the historical aspect of the 40-acre house, the Huntington House. And a lot of the emphasis was on this, people owned slaves when they were there. So we don't want to get involved in any controversy.
And later on was a large clearinghouse for slaves to pass through on their way to freedom. So it served both purposes.
What was? Porter Phelps was?
Yes.
So we can say it evolved.
That's kind. That's very good.
So I'll make a motion to approve the concept of posting the 4 signs with input as to specific location from DPW and subject to approval of select board and building inspector.
Second the motion.
Okay.
Can
Let me
we
get this
add
written down here.
a statement thanking these 2 young women for their service to the town and its history?
Is that a second motion?
I'm just embellishing the first.
Yeah, that's just, keep it to the point.
Okay.
Acknowledging the spirit, but so that's the motion to approve the concept with input from DPW and subject to approval of select board and building inspector.
Board of Selectmen and building inspector.
And seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussions? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Good
Thank
luck,
you.
ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing
Thank
this.
you.
Mr. Dwyer, anybody?
That's all I have. And I see Tom and or Dee Dee are on.
What was the presentation, Bill, that was regarding the palm reading sign?
Oh, so that's actually a little murky. The MassDOT is taking down the existing sign. So I think I did forward around just today the current sign, and last week she sent the proposed sign that she wants to put up. But it turns out there's an issue here with, first of all, well, there's an issue here. She's not eligible to get a permit from the town because she has some open obligations. And she was not able to be here tonight. So since it is not eligible to be acted on, I suppose there's probably no harm in putting it off to our December 20th meeting.
I would agree.
And that location, is that where that drainage easement is?
Yes.
Yes. That was her son came in earlier for the 2 or 3 used cars.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to hold off on voting on this one too, for the simple reason I don't want to put the building inspector solely on the spot for having the, share the blame if you would, so-called, for holding it up.
Let's see, just remind me, just make a note that we talked about it. What's the, you remember the address? for her?
229, is it? 249?
249.
229.
249?
249.
249, okay.
I'm looking at the email.
Okay.
Oh, I did verify, by the way, that the Hockenham School is town-owned.
Oh,
Okay.
249 Russell.
bless
Okay,
you, Brother Michael.
Oh, so, okay, so, yeah, she's basically going from a horizontal to a vertical format.
Oh, that's the one that was vertical. Okay.
And the whole thing will be 118 inches. Of course, that would be more convenient if it was expressed in feet.
118 is, I think 108 is 9, so it'll be almost 10 feet.
9.8 feet.
Yeah. So I don't see anyone here yet for the Triangle Properties or the Colony Estates.
Colony is asked to be put off until December 20th. Their lawyer wasn't ready. And Ken Comey reminded me that he was had been set for 12/20.
Okay.
That was my mistake adding it on. So I'm just
I
going
won't
to
be-
take,
I won't be around 10/20 or, 12/20 or January 3rd.
You don't want to zoom from,
Oh, good point. Good point. I guess I could do that.
will you be in the same time zone?
Yeah, same time zone. They don't do daylight savings time down there, so we're exactly the same time zone now. Good point. 20th, where will it be? Yeah, I'll be in Bogota on the 20th. I'm getting there on the 18th.
Well,
Okay.
You might have something better to do, but if you want to get out of that shuffleboard match, you could.
Anybody want me to bring them a bottle of aguardiente back? It's the national drink of Colombia. I think it's 80 proof. No, I think it's like 40 proof. But apparently it's an acquired taste. But if you want me to bring you a bottle back, I'll be happy to.
I'm not one to
I
drink
just got
spirit.
introduced to sour beer. That's an acquired taste.
No.
I didn't acquire it.
I bought a couple elderly clients over in Amherst some hard cider up in New Salem, and they said it was pretty damn good.
Okay, so I am not sure. I was expecting Triangle Properties. I believe that they did get a variance from the ZBA at a meeting. Was that yesterday, Jim?
Yeah, last night.
Last night. So
And what was that variance for?
they're expanding that staircase they were
Oh,
adding to
staircase.
access the second floor was even closer to the encroached more into the setback than the existing structure.
This was a coffee shop.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
But I could see that they were
I'll
making.
tell you, I've done a few
Better
trips
percent.
coming off of the bridge, trying to take a quick left there, and
Quick right, you mean? Oh,
Quick left.
right and then a quick left, yeah.
coming over the bridge, I just tested out. Joe Zagranic and I have done a couple test runs too.
Yeah, I've noticed that when you come off that ramp, unless you are planning to turn,
You're done. You're right.
you will be past it.
Yeah.
And if
But-
you are planning to turn and slow down accordingly, someone is going to be riding up your tailpipe.
The problem that if you took the right off of Route 9, however, neither one is exactly a good option.
You're kind of accelerating. Going around a curve, you're accelerating, and Route 9 might be a safer option to enter that place from. Just an observation.
Certainly, these observations are appropriate and probably all correct, but nevertheless, the other option would be nothing.
So,
And do we have that kind of authority?
yeah, I don't think we should be talking about it in too
You're
much
right. You're
detail when no
absolutely
one's
right.
here. So I'm going to make a
Moving right
motion.
along.
I'm going to make a motion to continue this to our
The 20th or?
the first January meeting.
That would be,
The second, the third.
January 3rd.
January 3rd.
And recall that acceleration is the second derivative, something else I learned in a liberal arts college.
Okay,
That's the motion to continue to the January 3rd.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Very well.
Okay, so let me just make some notes here. To 12:20. And PVPC. Oh, but Ken did send us a bill.
Yep, I've got the invoice. I was gonna
Okay.
bring that, once we get through the continuation, I was gonna bring it up.
Okay,
Yeah, Ken will be in on the 20th too. And while we're on it, we got to receive an invoice for the well, I guess it'd be the second quarter payment. Second quarter payment for PVPC of $1,996.36, according to their contract.
1,996.36.
0.36. Make a motion to pay it.
I'll make a motion to pay PVPC that sum.
Second,
Motion second. Mark, Joe, whatever you want to choose.
I think it was Mike.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Very good.
I was reading that 40Y, is that what it's called? The starter home district or overlay district,
Yes.
the letter from Lisa Mead, it's interesting. When you said you thought it was akin, I'm talking to Bill, you thought it was akin to cluster. What exactly is cluster? I mean, it sounded like they were saying quarter acre. Is that
So the classic cluster zoning is if you have, say you have 2 acres and you would cluster the housing on part of it and leave part of it open. That was something that came and went about 10, maybe 15 years ago now. As an idea that just wasn't, it was brought in by the Master Plan Implementation Committee as a suggestion for creating more housing options. But it really, it wasn't ready for prime time then. And it's not something, it's increasing density almost requires that you have sewer service.
Yeah.
And that cuts down a lot of the availability. There seems to be something the state wants to be monitoring that on. And there is some funding to the town.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the problems with cluster zoning, especially in Hadley, is that I want to say 1/3 of the town, maybe more than 1/3 of the town is over the aquifer. And you require, Title V requires a certain amount of square footage of land per bedroom. And so considering we have 40,000 square foot lots, you could put 4 bedrooms in. And if you try to squeeze that 4 bedrooms or a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom house on a quarter acre, the math doesn't work.
You have to have a sewer
You
system.
know, like Bill said, if it's on sewer, different story.
Right.
But if it's a septic system, not so much, for a whole variety of reasons. And I happen to agree with their thinking on that one for same reasons that they had. And so it putting cluster in Hadley and in many of the areas in our towns in our area is difficult if you don't have sewer. So
They were,
A lot of areas in Hadley that does have sewer that there's room for development though. And that certainly hasn't happened.
I was just thinking it was an opportunity, you hear plenty of Hadley old timers say, I can't afford to downsize and buy a house in town. I can't afford to stay here. So I just thought, I guess that would speak more towards elderly housing that Barry was.
Well, that's true. The elderly and starter homes for young people, but we're caught in the issue, like I said, with the sewer.
Clearly, there's got to be better public policy in regards to encouraging lower cost housing. And when I think I sent the article around about the loan value going up to $1 million guaranteed by FDIC or the housing authority.
Yeah, Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie Mae. Millions. So they're encouraging mega mansions, which is what shouldn't be done. You should be encouraging smaller houses. And it's contrary. They pass policy to appease the wealthy, and they do nothing for the less than wealthy.
Well, there are whole books about how the banking system and the federal and state governments have been complicit in.
Of course.
It's more of the Freddie Mae and Ginnie Mae, Freddie Mac and Ginnie Mae directing the bank to do this.
You can afford $1 million home. You certainly don't need the federal government guaranteeing the mortgage.
Yeah.
Well, one point, just to answer Mark's question a little bit, is the fact that when Barry Roberts was proposing the 55 and older housing on East Street Common, he did have a focus group, I don't know, 10 or dozen people that were elderly enough to qualify for that housing. And the question started off, well, what do you want to pay? Well, $225, $250. Then he showed a picture of what's going to be there. Well, it's got a 1-car garage. We would like a 2-car garage. Okay. Does it have a cellar? No, we would like a cellar for storage, etc. It's on a slab. And, you could go on and on and on. And all of a sudden, they did not want to pay for all the things that they were asking for. So in the end, however, they did pay, $350,000, $400,000, $450,000 for the buildings on East Street Common. So there's a lot of variables involved, and I don't know how you're going to make housing any cheaper.
When you find a house in Hampshire County that's going for $350,000, give me a call.
I mean, this area is one of the most expensive to build in, and the average per capita income in the town of Hadley is way beyond the average of Hampshire County and some of the surrounding towns. So, they don't look at Hadley as by any means a poor or even a middle-class community. It's considered an upper-class wealthy town.
Now, if you want to build cheaply, you build in Bondsville. But who wants to live in Bondsville, right?
Bill Dwyer seems to know Plainfield quite well, so we should encourage the building up there.
Yeah, I can probably connect you with some no longer used grazing land for the sheep.
Yes.
Jim, do you think?
Exactly. The prices, I think we were talking about it. I have a client who's selling some building lots in Granby, and they're a fraction of the price, not less than half the price of an average building lot in Hadley.
Does Granby have a source system? Or is it pretty much septic?
Oh, a lot of rocks, Mike.
Yeah,
They may have some municipal, but I think it's mostly septic. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Granby has some septic, but it's limited, and not even not in Granby, not even every place has town water. A lot of wells.
yeah.
So
I was just wondering, Jim, if your housing production plan report was pretty much wrapped up before that 40Y came out. So maybe
The-
that was not discussed.
well, I mean, the draft final report is pretty much prepared. You have a copy of the factual section. The recommendation is being fine-tuned, was presented at our last meeting a week or so ago. It mirrors a lot of the stuff that's in the master plan recommendations. Recommend looking at a few things. Clusters one of them again, but again, a lot of that's in a lot of what is in the master plan is going to be duplicated a different way. And there's a few other things, but for the most part, and even part of the report is like, Hadley's Hadley right now has 11.9% affordable. And from what we, and at least still qualify if you would. And we get this new motel, if you would, that's across from the area. However, that's if you would, the really low income stuff. What we're trying to address, as I think what we're talking about here, is more the ones that aren't part of the affordable group, that are above that, but also aren't into the more wealthy group. It's like the younger people and the older people that are beyond that little income range, but not enough that they can afford the real expensive home, plus the older ones that want to downsize. And how do you meet that? That's a good question.
Well, that picture that Mark showed, the development in the center of Sunderland, evidently that is for 55 and older affordable housing.
A bedroom community for Amherst, okay? And bedroom communities generally aren't inexpensive to live in.
Well, yeah, I mean, if UMass would step up and put appropriate dormitories for their students,
Well,
surrounding towns wouldn't have a lot of these problems.
well, exactly.
But they try to expand the student base without expanding living quarters for them accordingly.
Tuition, room and board from 1980 to the present has increased. I would like you all to take a guess, but I'll tell you the answer is 169%.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Okay.
But the board over there is pretty good, I've heard.
Well, that's part of the increase.
I would have thought it would have been a lot more than that, Joe.
I
It's-
don't know the actual numbers, but I heard that, generations ago, it was tuition and then room and board and fees. But since the state fixes how much you can raise tuition, tuition has become the smaller. As an employee, we're supposed to get free tuition for our family, which used to be a great benefit, but now it's kind of offset because that's how I don't know this per se. I've just heard hearsay that's how they keep up with the salary rates to attract qualified faculty. So
Mark, the real answer was a little bit more political, whereby the money would have to go back to the general court for tuition. So if you paid your tuition to UMass 15 years ago, the money would go back to the general court and they would give you how much you think you should have. But the fees, however, would stay at UMass. So consequently, tuition didn't go up, but the fees went up.
Well, we're getting off, way
I
off.
know we are.
Yeah, way off topic.
But this is very interesting. I mean.
Yeah.
you know,
Does
how many
impact
people-
Hadley.
But anyway,
And one last comment, though, the reason most of the buildings are in Amherst, because way back when, in lieu of taxes, Amherst would get all. Hadley did get a few buildings.
mhm.
All right, I have nothing else. So, yeah, I did get a phone call last week from Kishore Parmar. I just couldn't remember. I know we voted to give him an extension. Do you remember if you wrote it up, Jim, or were you wanting me to write it up?
I believe because it was an extension of site plan approval, you were going to write it up.
Okay,
But I believe the extension was going to expire sometime in early 2023.
yeah, I'm trying to remember when it was a year from when he came in, and I'll just have to check back and see when
Okay.
he, it's in the minutes. I just didn't give it another thought. So I will get back to him on that. I know we voted to a specific date.
But there's a almost another one relating back to what Mr. Sarzi said about the loans. When they were looking to build a year or so ago, that financing was great, but the cost of everything was going wild and the markets and otherwise, so they decided to hold off. Now that they're ready to build, the loans and stuff are what's causing them headaches, and they can get everything else, but now the loans are a problem. So they're caught into a reverse conundrum of what they were a year ago.
Not that the costs have gone down a lot, but they.
Well, no, but they
stopped
kind of
skyrocketing.
stabilized some things.
Actually, I think the cost of lumber came down significantly. I don't
Some
know
lumber.
if you've noticed over here at East Street Commons, there's three houses going up. They're on hold. There's a pile of lumber across the street from me here. If somebody wanted to make a few bucks, midnight.
That's because there's no trees behind your house anymore.
The some lumber has come down, like I'm not sure, but I believe like the 2x4s and the regular straight lumber has gone down some. Plywood is sky high. But anyways, that's what's
Just as an aside, one of the primarily in the Pacific Ocean. That's just an aside.
I haven't heard of any volcanic activity going on.
Oh, big time. They just have to blow on Indonesia.
That's why they call it the Ring of Fire.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Quinlan, do you have anything?
I almost thought he was going to speak up about construction costs.
No, yeah, I was gonna just say that the lumber has come down, but labor costs and everything are up, and of course the rates, I think, is what's gonna put a halt to just about everything.
Okay.
How much lumber? Take a ride down East Street Commons Town and tell me how much the value of that lumber is sitting there in two big piles, will you?
I was just down there, yeah, I'd have to think about that one. But at least they're all gonna be done. He said, I think a year and a
Yeah.
half, he should be complete there now.
They're getting after it, yeah.
So just be mindful that he's supposed to be making a payment in lieu of affordable housing to us, to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund with each sale. And he is also supposed to be doing a transfer of development rights when he gets above a certain number of bedrooms. I will pull out the decision because he's getting close to that.
Do we need to hold a CO then or two? get that?
Just don't want to let them get, I've reminded his attorney and he asked me about what the payment we set was. But it's starting to get close. So maybe at some point maybe we can ask you and Dee Dee to to total up the number of bedrooms that he's built so far. And
When you pull that decision out, Mr. Dwyer, could you email it to the rest of us?
yeah,
Thank you, Jim.
He's
Just,
very good. The people that were in tonight for the dance studio or the exercise,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts actually right away within 24 hours got an occupant load. Everything, all the lighting, everything was complete today. So he jumped.
Yeah, well, Mr. Roberts has been very good on, with his attorney, on reacting to anything that we've requested of them.
okay. All right, I have nothing else.
no, be careful out there.
Yeah,
I'm isolating because I was exposed to someone who caught COVID. So don't let your Christmas go.
Okay,
did you get your fifth shot yet?
Yeah.
I got mine last week.
All
okay.
right. I will second your motion to.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn? Aye.
Right.
Meeting is history. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Tom. See you in 2 weeks. Good night.